we get conditioned that it is. Where the inefficiency in your cash flow are, but they also have a $200,000. So again, my name is Brian Nates, and been in this industry almost 20 years. And I don't know exactly what you know about our system and what we do, but that's what this is for, right? So no decisions need to be made today, nothing. I love what we do with clients. So the Money Max account is a system that we started about 20 years ago. I'm one of the trainers and equity field shareholders. I oversee a couple thousand agents in the field. I keep myself on the calendar, like it's a round robin type system, right? I keep myself on, quite frankly, just to keep me fresh. I get driven and I love working one-on-one with people.
Hmm.
A lot of my time is actually spent training and overseeing the field a little bit. But I love what we do. So my background is I've been doing retirement planning, tax strategies, life insurance strategies. There's concepts that some people know about, some don't, known as velocity banking or the infinite banking concept, becoming your own banker. I do a lot of that with clients. One of the companies that I own that I help a lot of clients with also, which if you don't have one set up yet, we conversation for another day, but know that if you trust me and I want to earn that trust, but we also have a company that sets up wills and trusts for clients for about a fraction of the cost of what your traditional attorney will charge, right? So if you don't have one, I don't know if you have children or people you would want to make sure it takes, get your stuff. Setting up a will and trust is so important, and yet many people don't even have one, and then leave a mess for people when they pass on, right? So certainly something to talk about. I know that's not something to talk about today, but I love what we do with this. Our clients, and I'm one of them, just so you know, have been able to pay off all their debts, even a brand new mortgage, able to pay them off in as little as 5, 6, 7 years, saving about 70 to 80% of the interest. And what we do works. Now, what I'll say though is what we do is not for everybody, but what we do does work. And if you're okay with that, let me just explain like a little bit of why I say it's not for everybody. Is that fair? Okay, cool. First and foremost, we will teach you strategies and ways to destroy the interest that the banks charge you. Okay. It's proven. Again, one of the clients, I've paid off multiple properties and other debts, credit cards, student loans, car loans, in about less than 7 years instead of 30, right? Um, it works. It's awesome. It's not magic. What we're doing is we're taking advantage of the way interest is calculated and teaching you things that the banks don't want you to know and they don't teach you. Okay. They'd rather you stay in the dark with it, a slave to the lender. I'm a Christian, so when I say that, I'm very specific on what I mean by that, right? They would rather you stay that way and fool you. And what I mean by that is have you so conditioned, and I want you to think about when you bought your home, when you buy a car, when you buy other things in life, they have us focused on what's my rate and what's my payment. Rate and payment, rate and payment, rate and payment. Meanwhile, we're ignoring like out of that $1,000 payment, $700 is interest. That doesn't sound like 3% to me. But yet, we get conditioned that it is. Even though the very loan documents that you sign that you don't pay attention to, like they go through them so quickly, explains to you that that 3%, it even says it, this is not your interest rate. Like if you go back to your loan documents, right next to the APR where it says whatever your mortgage rate is, in the loan documents, it says, this is not your interest rate. We get conditioned to believe that APR, which is what that's called, is the interest rate. It's not. Okay. And it even says it there. But we get conditioned to believe that it is. Meanwhile, the banks, well, laughing all the way to the bank, right? Um, they know that the average American is going to either move or refinance within 10 years on their mortgages. So they don't care what they market to you as far as like, here's your APR, which is what they say rate. Okay. No, it's not. And what I mean by that is on these types of loans that the banks do, they put all the interest in the beginning of the loan, right? Right? So that they're winning before you are. And if you stay in that one loan for 30 years, which is 360 payments, never move and never refinance, at the end of the 30 years, it is a, I'll use 3%. I don't know what yours is, but I'll use 4%, whatever it is that you signed. It is true that it was a 4% loan. Here's the magic word. Ready? Amortized, which means the front part of the mortgage is interest. That's what that really means there. Over 30 years. Here's the problem. History tells them you're not going to stay in that loan 30 years. Even if you stay in the same house 30 years, you're probably going to refinance in some time. So they want to collect as much interest as they can in the first 30, I'm sorry, in the first 10 years. And that's why it's actually what's known as the APR, which stands for annual percentage rate, not the real interest rate. Right? Yeah. So part of my job is just to kind of let you know, like, it's not what you think. Once you understand that, they say like in magic, the best magicians have you focused on something else while they're doing this over here. That's the banks. If I want you to think about this, if these low rates and low payments were so beneficial to you, the consumer, would they ever market to you to refinance? They wouldn't. But yet that's all they market, right? Think about it. We have learned how to flip the script and take advantage of the rules of the way the interest is actually calculated to benefit you. And all we did was put all the rules into one massive, easy formula. When I say easy, the formula is not easy, but for you, the client, what we created. So this is how you know if this is not for you. And it's okay if you say, yeah, no, it's not for me. Like this meeting will be quick, you know? But if you wanted to be a client of what we do, one, you got to be coachable because we have coaching sessions and we show you the truth and we actually help you. Like, I don't want you thinking you become a client and you never hear from me again or see me again. Like, this will be a partnership, okay? And I'm going to actually help you destroy the bank. And I'm okay saying that. I love it. I love what we do. I have clients that are completely like, I want you to think about you woke up tomorrow and you owed nobody anything. And all that money that was flowing away from you, now you get to keep and build more wealth and have more cash flow and actually live and have a retirement with dignity instead of being a slave to the bank for the rest of your life. It's a different mindset, right? And we don't think that way because we are conditioned to think, you know what the banks and Wall Street want? They want you believing that you're going to be in debt the rest of your life, and maybe you'll take some of my money and put it into this retirement account. And man, oh man, I hope it turns out to be okay. That's what they want. They want you a slave to the system, and that's the truth. Okay? What we created was a actual program and system that is the best way I can describe it. Like we created a software program, okay? We spent $20 million to develop it, right? And we put together a formula that is step by step telling you exactly what to do with the cash flow that you have in real time, like, AI type stuff, right? And here's how I'll describe it. I live in Indiana. If we were doing this in 1970, I would stop at 7-Eleven or Walmart or something, and I would buy a map. And I would try to figure out with my map how to get to your house. Hopefully the map was updated, right? But that's what we would do back. I'm 48 years old, so I remember when MapQuest came out. I don't know if you remember MapQuest. It was so cool that you could put in an address on the computer and print out a sheet, one page, that actually told you what to do, right? Like turn left on this street, turn right on this street. Like it was, do you remember MapQuest? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was so cool. The problem with MapQuest was like it was only one way to do it. And if you wanted to get something to eat, or if there was a bridge out, or if there was a bad accident, like,
Like,
oh goodness, you would get lost because you only had MapQuest. That was it, right? After that, like I think it was in the 90s sometime, maybe early 2000s, remember Garmin? And we would put that thing on our dashboard. And now we had something that you put in an address and it literally told you what to do when you turned. Fast forward to today, I don't know if you use Google Maps or MapQuest, I mean, or Waze. I don't know what you use. Some people still use like the GPS that's built into the car itself. You put in the address and it just tells you exactly what to do and when to turn left and when to turn right. And if you make a wrong turn, what happens? Calculate, recalculate, right?
hmm
We created, I want you to think about you. You have debt, you have more than one debt, right? You have a checking account, maybe you have a savings account, maybe you have another checking account. I don't know yet enough about you yet. But you have no clue like what to do next. You kind of think you know and trying to survive in life, but if you had a system that was real, like the GPS in your phone, that was literally saying turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, what to do, when to do it, how to eliminate interest and get out of debt, but in real time. So what in the world do I mean by that? Well, when you make money, it recalculates. When you spend money at the grocery store, it recalculates. It's always telling you what to do and when to do it with the goals that you let the system know you have. Meaning, I want to be debt free. Okay, so it's going to figure out the fastest way to do that using the rules of the accounts you have, right? I want I want to save up 10 grand to buy a car cash. Okay, let it know that. And that's going to be part of your planning. You follow what I'm saying, right? And it's going to literally tell you what to do and when to do it. But here's the secret. With the MapQuest, or sorry, the GPS maps, when you make a wrong turn, it recalculates. Well, why don't we have something that for our cash flow? Well, we do. We created that. When you make a wrong turn, because life happens, right? We get sick, things come up. I know my late wife, she had to get a double lung transplant, right? We had a $10,000 deductible all of a sudden. You know, like life happens. You want to buy a new car. You want to go on a trip to Disney World. I'm making things up now, okay? But there's things you want to plan in the future. Like, I don't need a new car now, but I'm gonna need one like in 2 years or so. Well, what if you had a way, like you know when you're driving on your GPS and you say, my destination is Indiana because I want to go visit Brian. But on the way there, like I'm hungry and I want to find an Italian restaurant. Well, if you used your phone for that and you do the Google Maps or whatever you wind up using, well, there's this Italian restaurant over here and it looks pretty good. 4.5 stars. That's awesome. Ooh, that's going to add 2 hours to my trip. But this Italian restaurant over here, maybe not as good. It's 3.5 stars, not 4.5, but it's only going to add 10 minutes to my trip. Which one am I picking? Right? In real time, can understand like how it's going to affect my trip before I ever hit go, right? Before I ever say, let's do this. If you had that for all your debts, cash flow, expenses, and you do what you want, just like in the GPS. If you want to go to the scenic route, go ahead. It may add 20 minutes to your trip, but that's what you chose to do. And you knew that going into it. And then you said, what's the most efficient way to get to where I'm going? We built the GPS or the Waze app or the Google Maps or whatever you want to call it but for your debt and your cash flow. What I said before was true. Here's how you know this is not for you. You're still writing things down on a piece of paper about your budget, and you don't want to log into a computer to use a system. If you're saying, Brian, I don't want to log into something, and once a week, well, I'll say at worst, or yeah, worst case scenario, once a month. Like remember in the old days when you used to reconcile your checkbook? This would be like that, but technology wise on a platform, right? Where you're letting the system know what you made, what you spent, what bills were paid, and then it's telling you what to do with the cash flow that you're having, and you follow what it tells you to do because it knows better than you ever could, right? It's a formula, right? So it understands where the inefficiency in your cash flow are, and it's going to attack the debt. Most of our clients are completely debt free in as little, on average, about a third of the time. So if you said, Brian, I have these debts, I got 28 years left on my mortgage, like how cool would it be if you were done in 7 to 10 years? Right? Life changing. And that's the joy I get out of this. Why I meet with people one on one still, because I have a whole team I have to oversee. But this is what drives me. Changing someone's life just, man, it puts me on a whole nother level. But I love what I do. It makes a difference in people's lives. And the joy I get out of it is it keeps me going. So, that being said, the first thing to make sure this is for you is, are you okay using technology? That's cool. The second way to make sure this is for you is we have to make sure that you're the right fit. And what I mean by that is, hey, Brian, I make 5 grand a month, but I'm spending 7. Whoa, we got to figure that out because it's not magic, right? So, like, if you're way upside down every single month and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt, I mean, you may need a bankruptcy, and I don't know enough to even advise you on that, okay? But like, if you're in a really bad place and there's no way to consolidate the debt or make more money or do something to get you going where you're at least, I'll say at least breaking even, um, this program may be very difficult to help you because it maximizes your efficiency, but it can't create more money. I want to show you what you would use if you became a client. Before I do that, let you know that if you feel like this could be possibly something for you, what I would do is I'll do a little demo with you just to show you what this would do. As far as if you became a client, obviously, like we're not free, right? So let's talk through that a little bit just so you understand. We have a system that like based on what support and how we feel like we'll do a whole analysis on your situation. And when I run the analysis, I'm gonna want like real data, like your mortgage balance, the interest rate, payment, right? And it's gonna say, okay, if she becomes a client, this is what we'll do for you, and we actually guarantee the results of the program. Okay, money back guarantee as well, and because we know it's just math. Now it's very complex math going on behind the scenes, but it's math. The cost of our services, which includes coaching, unlimited lifetime upgrades, meaning we're always like using our technology team to create better and make the system better and change as technology changes. It is not like a software program that you download and then, you know, how Microsoft charges you 2 years later for the new version, or Apple when you get the new iPhone, like a couple years later, you need to buy the new iPhone, right? It's not like that. Once you are a client, you're a client for life. Okay. You could pay for it upfront, like a lifetime type membership, or you could do a monthly payment plan. Some clients do the upfront, some clients do the payment plan. It's your choice. I will tell you, if you pay upfront, you actually save some money. They give you a little discount for paying upfront. But someone with a mortgage and you have other debts, I can tell you that all-in upfront payment is going to be somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000. Like I'm telling you that right now. Okay. Um, who cares if it saves you 20 years of payments and $100,000 in interest, right? Like if it doesn't save you that much, which is why I want to run an analysis on your situation before we ever did anything, um, then you shouldn't be a client. And I'm very transparent about that. If you don't want to pay for it up front, there is a payment plan. And when you do the payment plan, depending on the actual cost of our services, it will be anywhere between $80 a month to about $140 a month or so, maybe 150. Okay. But I know when I run your analysis, I know exactly, and so will you. Okay, this is what we'll do for you. This is the results you're going to get. This is the cost, or you can do the payment plan, and this is what it will be. Okay. There's a 2-year payment plan or a 4-year payment plan. If you do the 4-year, the payment is lower, but you're spreading it out over 4 years, right? If you do the 2-year payment plan, the payment's a little higher, 130, 140, 150, something like that. And it's only over 2 years. Does that all make sense so far? Okay. Um, you don't know enough to understand if this is for you or not. I will say this. Don't let that scare you from changing your life. Okay, good. Glad to hear that. I mean, goodness, people don't realize, like, you know what the closing cost on your loan was to get into debt? It was more than that, probably, you know, but we don't think about that, so cool. That being said, again, I can do a demo to just to kind of show you how you would use our system and the coaching and stuff like that. Want me to do that? Okay. So if you became a client, probably from the very computer you're at, now you could do it from your phone because there's a mobile version and all that. But this is what you would log into. Now this is just a sample client, okay? But this is a real sample client. We took actual real client and put their data in here. So this right here is what you would log into. And before anything, what matters to you as a client is really these top, see what says payoff date, years to pay off, and the interest saved. As your life is changing, that is always changing. So it's so cool to see. Like, imagine you woke up tomorrow and you knew the day I'm Christian, so I call it your Jubilee Day, right? You would know the day you owe nothing, nothing. No, you are free. You are totally free. Pretty cool feeling to know when that will be, right?
Mhm.
And as your life is changing, making money, spending money, buying new things, this is always recalculating, just like, the GPS in the car, how it's telling you your destination, right? Now, through our coaching, we'll talk about different strategies, different banking principles. Again, you're a client for life, and we're going to make sure you're doing the most efficient thing and teaching you ways to win over on the bank. But the software is going to be like the guiding light. You follow me, right?
Mhm.
So let's look at this client. They'll be debt free in 11 years, not 30. Pretty cool. They're going to save $150,000 in interest. Pretty neat. See this button where it says accounts? Let's see what they have. They have a checking account. They have a savings account. I'm sure you have at least a checking account, hopefully a checking and savings, because we'll make the system work better for you. Okay. So if you don't have a savings account, let's get you one later. Okay. Um, but there's a reason why, because of strategic timing and stuff. But that being said, this client has a car loan. Sound familiar? Has a credit card, also has a little like personal loan, right, for 2,400. The credit card has about 5,000 on it. The car loan has about 25,000. Make sense so far? But they also have a $200,000 mortgage, 30 years. Yeah, they're going to be debt free in 11.8. This client, when I go to the budget tab, which is what we would all load with you and help you get this all set up, makes about $5,400 a month. Now they're married, John and Rebecca. We called them John and Rebecca Jones because everybody likes to keep up with the Joneses, right? So they make 5,500 or 5,400. But look at this. I want you to look at this. On an average month, they spend, see that right there? So how in the world, I want you to put yourself in their shoes. If you were almost breaking even every month, how are they going to be debt free in 11.8 years? Pretty cool, right? Because most people are just making sure they can survive. and get through the month. With our system, with very strategic timing of things, it is
Mhm.
eliminating most of the interest out of their life and paying everything off for them in 11.8 years. That's not even the most important thing in the system, but that's the results that you get. Okay. And by the way, as you can see in their expenses, they got a food budget. You don't have to be like this. Like, you don't have to itemize things. Please know that. But some people love, like, I used to be a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University coach. And, itemizing things is like what people like to do sometimes. Um, but you don't have to. So please know that. Does that make sense so far? This is just like the budget tab. This is where the magic happens in the action plan, right here. The action plan, I want you to think about your GPS in your car. You know how you have the map view, but then you can switch it to like that list view where it actually shows you the steps. And as you're making a turn, the next step pops up and then the next step pops up, right? That's what this is. If you notice, and by the way, this is my demo, so I'm doing it in the rear so that I can actually execute things happening. So this is January 2nd, right? In the rear. It says John to checking, from John to checking. If it's green, that means that's his scheduled income that should be coming. Okay. But let's say it's January 2nd today, and John normally gets paid around 1,400 a month, and that's what the system thinks he's going to get. You know what? He worked overtime. So this paycheck, even though the average is 1462, this paycheck was 1686. Good for him, right? And all you do is let it know, you close it out, and you hit execute. So now the system understands that and is going to use those cash flow the most efficient way possible. This is his mortgage. So he just says, yeah, I made that payment. Cool. Point and click. Pretty simple, right? This is his signature loan. But then do you see these arrows, the blue and green? These are very specific. Like, people that play checkers or chess, like the real good ones can see moves before they even happen. Now you can see, like, hey, by following these steps, and there's more here, there's more a month later, by following these steps that are in the future, when it comes, you do it because it doesn't move the money for you. We don't control your money, it's your money. It's the GPS in the car. Like, Elon Musk tried to get a car that drives itself. It didn't work, right? Come up and get in the way. With this is the GPS telling you what to do, and all you got to do is do it. If you follow the steps, this client will be debt free in 11 years. Everything, not just the mortgage, everything. And that's the payoff date, and that's the interest saved. Does that make sense so far? Okay, now watch this. Um, yeah, they're going to be debt free in 11.8 years. That's cool. But you know what? South Carolina has been horrible this year. They live in South Carolina with you. And they've always wanted to go to Hawaii. And they're going to plan a trip. And they're just going to do it. The whole family. I'm saying that because me and my family are planning a trip to Hawaii. Um, it's going to cost, I mean, if you plan a real, like, extravagant trip for family of five, I mean, you're looking at 10 to 20 grand, like, truly, with plane fare and hotels and food and all that stuff, right? So let's say they say, you know what, we really want to do that next summer. So all they have to do, and the wife says, but now you're talking to yourself about this. Like, I really want to do it, but can I really do it? Like, what do most people do? I'll put it on the credit card and I'll figure it out later, right? So watch this. I'm going to hit add new action. I'm going to hit withdrawal. And I'm going to say from my credit card to Hawaii family, not today, next summer. So not this summer. We're going to go to 2026. And we're going to say in, July of 2026, we're going to spend 15 grand on Hawaii because I priced it out and, for everything we want to do, that's what it's going to cost. And I put it in my little travel bucket. I want you to understand this. We haven't spent this money yet. Does that make sense? We're letting my planning system know this is something I want to do. Can I really do it? Or is it going to hurt me too much? right? So at a click of a button, I'm going to hit save. Okay. The 11.8 years immediately went to 13. Immediately, you know exactly when your new payoff date's going to be. And this button, can you see this here where it says true cost? I'm going to hit true cost. This could be your best friend or your worst enemy. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to July of 2026. Imagine if you had this crystal ball that said, hey, if you do this, we're not telling you not to do it, but if you do it, based on your income and your expenses and everything you got going on in life, this is really what's going to happen. The true cost is $34,000. Makes you think a little bit, right? Now, how did it get to
Mhm.
34,000? Well, because you added a year and a half almost to your debt payoff. And now you put 15 grand on a 24% credit card. You don't got 15 grand to pay that off the next month, right? So there's all that interest that now you're going to have to pay. So imagine, I want you to think about yourself. If you knew how things were going to affect you a year and a half before you even decided you were going to do it, do you think you'd make better choices all day long? Right? Okay. So that's one example. And I'm going to show you one more example. I'm going to close this out because I want to get back to 11.8 years. And a lot of my clients turn into I'm proud of this. So like where it's changed their life and we're actually building wealth together. I'll teach you strategies that you can eliminate the interest, get the banks out of your life, even become your own bank. I know you may have heard that lingo before. Like you can have rental properties if you want. You can have cash flow that's better. Like we could do a lot of cool things together if we decide to, right? One of the things a lot of my clients does is like they'll buy a rental property. You know, I mean, instead of having one house paid off in 30, what if you can have five houses paid off in 30? That's a good retirement, right? Watch this. This John and Rebecca Jones, they say, you know, Brian, I want to do that. We're going to buy our first rental property next summer, right? We saved up a little bit to have a down payment next summer. Let's plan for that. So I'm going to go to the accounts. I'm going to hit add new account. I'm going to hit mortgage. It's a regular mortgage. And I'm just going to say first rental property. And who cares who it's with? Some bank. And what's a decent rental property in South Carolina? And it doesn't even mean you have to buy it in South Carolina, by the way, but that will give you, you know, a decent rent. By the way, I know of ones that are 50 grand, just so you know. But let's do it. Let's do it.
That's it.
I was gonna do 200,000, so we're on the same page. 200,000. And we're planning for it next summer, so the rates won't be much different probably. So let's just say 7%. It could be six, it could be five. I get that, but let's just say 7%. And so it even tells you what the payment's going to be, 1330.60. Okay. However, you know, 300's escrow, so the real payment is 1630.60. Okay. But we're not doing this now. We're planning for the future. So 2026. I said next summer, right? So the first mortgage payment we're going to plan for is August. We bought it in June, and we'll have the first payment in August. And we got to switch this as well to say that the statement came in July. Sure. Okay. I'll hit save. Look at this. How powerful. Do you notice it doesn't say time to pay off anymore? It says if you
Mhm.
buy this property and you don't find a renter or some source of other revenue for this house, you're losing all your houses in 3.7 years. You don't have enough money, you're going to be in trouble, right? It even says your expenses are going to exceed all your available funds, like no more room on the credit card, no more room in savings. You're in trouble. But as an investor, it says, well, okay, cool. Like if I don't find a renter right away, I'll be okay, right? And so you plan for that. You go to the budget tab and you hit edit, and I hit add income, and I'm going to say rental property income. Okay. And there's even a little thing that you can print out for your CPA and stuff. So rental income. And if it's a $200,000 house, I mean, nowadays you'll get 2 grand, right? So we're going to put 2 grand and sometimes even more depending on where that house is. And it's not starting now. So we want to be fair to the formula. It's going to start in 2026. And let's say you want to project some like worst case scenario for yourself. You don't find a renter right away, and they're going to plan for that. So you're going to say, you know what? In my projections here, I'm going to say the first rent doesn't happen until October 1st. Okay. So now, kind of worst case scenario. I'm not even including um, security deposits and all that, which you can, but I'm just making this easy. So now, 2 homes, free and clear, and the mortgage and the car and the credit cards in 14 years. Not one house, two. And then the last thing I'm going to do is now you're getting excited. So I'm going to say, and then I'm done. This is what some of my clients have done. Okay. Second, I'm one of them. I've done this. I have a couple rentals. Second rental, seconds, and second rental prop. There it is. And another bank. Just being funny. And same type of house. Maybe you buy the house down the street. 200,000, 7%, 360. What was that? 1630? Yeah, 1630.60. 300 goes to escrow. And we're going to say it's going to take you a couple years to get your next one. So 2028. March is fine. And we'll say 2028 is when the statement happens. And it's in February sometime. It's fine. Okay, now watch this. We haven't included any rent for that property yet. So it says, well, you'll be out of money in 12.8 years. Again, how cool is it to understand and see that? So then you say, well, yeah, that makes sense because I have not added my second rental income. Oh, you want to have fun? This one is an Airbnb that you bought on the coast or something. Now for 200 grand, maybe not, but that's okay. It's a condo, right? And Airbnbs you tend to get more for. There's gonna be months you get nothing. You make 5 grand, right? So let's just say average of 2,500. And I think that's low for Airbnbs, but that's okay. And it doesn't start until 2028 because that's when you bought it. And let's say let's say you got to clean it up a little bit. That's why you were able to get it for 200. You're cleaning it up, and so maybe you don't start getting renters until the summer, right? And there you go. So now you got 3 homes, free and clear, building wealth for yourself in 14.3 years. It was 14.2 years before. I don't know if you remember that. You got 3 homes now, and look, you're saving on all of them almost $500,000 in interest. Okay. So remember what I said in the beginning of this. Today's just to see, like, hey, do you feel like this would be a system that you would use? Yeah, it's awesome. When you really understand it, it is awesome. There is not a better system that's been built that does what ours does. And I say that with confidence. If you feel like there's something here, next steps would be to run your numbers, put your stuff in the system, show you what will happen with your actual data, right? And I can send you a 1-page sheet that you just fill out. I don't need account numbers. I don't need social security number. You're not refinancing anything. You're using our coaching and guidance and then the platform. Like that's the most important part. You actually staying up to date with it all. And we'll have great conversations and strategies. There's other things I haven't even shown you. You're building a house. If your foundation isn't solid, like you can make a house look beautiful, but if that foundation isn't built right, it's going to come crumbling down, right? The Money Max account allows me as a financial professional to help make sure your foundation is solid. And then if we feel like there's other strategies that we want to incorporate, we'll talk through that. but the
Mhm.
foundation needs to be solid, and that's what the money max account does really well. So if you feel like there's something here, we can set up a time to run your numbers.